Pledge allegiance to the flag
United States of America, Republic, since one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
They're all. I have any added agenda items that I'm aware of? All right, so then we have them in our packet, we have the minutes from January 10th. Do I have a motion to, make a motion to approve the January 10th, 2024 regular meeting minutes? One second. I have one correction. On page 2. I don't think it's called the Basketball Booster Club. I think it's just a Booster Club, right? It's just the next word under liaison reports. Yeah, okay, Booster Club. We can definitely let us know about that. Are there any other corrections or clarifications to the minutes? All right, the minutes were, there was a motion made and seconded for approval. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposed? Passes. Oh, sure. And the videos are now available on the website as well. Good. So the ones, if you look back, Patrick, the ones since
So we started since the new board started, so the last 3 meetings are now on the website and we'll start to be current. That's been just a lot of work that happened.
That hasn't been easy.
Where are they? Are they like within our minutes or?
They are, so you know where you have the tabs with the agendas, minutes, it's an additional like black tab that'll say recording.
Excellent. But we appreciate that effort to get those up there. All right, do we have any public participation this evening? Anybody want to comment? Okay. All right, and then we have our student representative report.
Vincent was just asking, so that his back is to the video. Maybe if you stand where you are, because the camera should, or you can walk out, that's in the front of the table.
I think it's been right next to me.
I was just say, if you stand here, you don't have it move, or there's no.
New perspective. Robrook School is participating in the Great Kindness Challenge this week. All students are completing a challenge to see how many acts of kindness they can complete. Each day this week is a spirit day. In addition, Robrook School is making Valentines for community members to support the Park and Rec Community Valentine Initiative. Students who won Principal of the Day as part of the Winter Learning Challenge are leading the school this week and next week. There's one for each grade level. BBS is currently analyzing the iReady data and plan instruction, sharing data with the families. There are many celebrations of student growth and achievement. At the middle school, Rachel Donnell will be visiting the 8th grade on Monday, January 29th. Rachel is the daughter of Holocaust survivor parents, particularly her mother, who is one of the 4 sisters that survived Auschwitz. Her aunt, Erna Rubenstein, authored a book about their collective experience called The Survivor in Us, 4 young girls in the Holocaust. During her presentation, Rachel will focus on her mission to preserve and share the memory of the atrocities as a tribute to all survivors. Additionally, she plans to draw connections to the concepts of integrity and anti-bullying. The 8th grade students are currently finishing up reading The Diary of Anne Frank. East Windsor Middle School is presently examining the iReady data to strategize instructional plans and will be sharing information to the families. East Windsor Middle School is engaged in the Great Kindness Challenge this week as well. Every student is undertaking a challenge to measure the number of acts of kindness they can accomplish. Furthermore, East Windsor Middle School is crafting Valentines for community members in support of the Park and Rec Community Valentines. On February 2nd, East Windsor Middle School will host its January incentive event. Students will join in a pep rally and engage in friendly staff versus student volleyball games. At the high school, this past week, students participated in their midterm exams. The new quarter began yesterday, January 23rd. The junior class held a fundraiser at Chipotle, and the drama club continues to work on their performance for Snoopy the Musical. The high school is planning for a semester 2 open house called the Block Party. This event will be on Wednesday, January 31st. Students from grades 7 to 12 can participate. Students and their families will have the opportunity to learn about programs that the high school offers and meet their semester 2 teachers. The middle school students will be able to meet with Ms. Anderson and tour the school. Participation in the block parties will allow families free admission to the boys' basketball game that evening. At the block party, the school will also be hosting its first FAFSA workshop for grade 12 parents and their families. East Windsor High School has received a FAFSA grant from the state of Connecticut. Any senior that completes the FAFSA will receive a Panther Pride t-shirt for the class of 2024. Students will also be eligible to earn raffle prizes for completing their application. These prizes include microwaves, refrigerators, and Keurig machines. In conclusion, all winter sports teams continue to work hard this season. The girls basketball team is currently 8-2, while the boys team is 7-4. The girls team already qualified for the Class S state tournament, and the boys team is only 1 win away. Thank you.
One. They did. The boys have qualified since the report went out for the packet. Thanks. Yeah. Yep.
So we also had a student on the girls basketball team get her 1,000th point of her career, and I believe she's a junior.
She is
So
a junior.
That makes her young for earning that accolade as well, so.
She was recognized to start the year top 25 for girls basketball.
Wow.
It was in yesterday's JI.
Oh, there you go.
They do the girls athlete of the week, and she was in the list.
Oh, that's awesome. All right, and next on the agenda, we have our list of upcoming meetings and events. So these are not just board meetings, but also subcommittee meetings or other workshops and related meetings. Does anybody have any questions about those?
I just have some added information with these meetings. So per request of the board, for the January 31st workshop with Nick Russo and Attorney Chinny, I'll have the agenda to you by the Monday before.
Oh, good. Okay.
And then in addition, per request from the board, previously, you had requested legislative updates. So we have Representative Foster attending your next meeting on the 14th. So we'll add her to the agenda, and she plans on attending the outstanding student before the BOE meeting as well.
Just on January 31st, our athletics subcommittee is going to meet here prior to the Nick Caristo. Carrie, Courtney and I can all make it at that time, so we're going to be here for our kickoff meeting and get ourselves organized.
Okay, and is that one where you need?
I need to post it. So what time will that?
Yeah, I sent Jessica a note.
I saw that. Okay.
Yeah, and just asked her to just post a simple,
Be on the 30th.
basically an orientation meeting. We won't have a lot on the agenda. We just need to kind of get our ducks in a row.
5:30. 5:30.
5:30. I think a half hour is enough for the three of us to do.
And is that just the three of you in terms of we don't need to check on the athletic director for that one or anything yet?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I think we were just gonna get together and try to get ourselves figured out.
Question, just, do we have, so I'm wondering do we have chairs for all the subcommittees?
I can speak to the one that I've had so far, which is Denise, for the finance. Noreen, sorry.
He could be.
No, I'm good.
How about the policy?
I don't think
We haven't had a meeting since.
Okay,
they haven't met
Yeah,
since.
we had to postpone that meeting for
okay.
special session.
And curriculum?
And as a note for curriculum, we just, the curriculum committee decided on Courtney for curriculum subcommittee chair tonight.
Thank you.
Right, anything else on those upcoming meetings and events? All right, and now we have the next on the agenda is the financial approach.
So as was reported to the Board of Finance Subcommittee, not too much to report, which is good news. Obviously, majority of the efforts have been focused towards the year budget right now. Everything seems to be trending, in the same direction it has been. I do anticipate doing projections the end of February, kind of mid-March, for our next projections, just to kind of give us a better idea of where we are towards the end of the year. Anyone have any questions as far as the financial report goes?
Have you gotten the auditor's management letter yet? If you have the full audit, it should be in.
I have to double check my email. I got something from Amy yesterday. I don't believe it's the actual management letter yet, but I can follow up on that. I haven't got anything directly from the auditors yet.
Thanks.
Were there any other questions about the financial report, or Noreen, did you have anything you wanted to share from highlights?
We may have talked about it last meeting. Finance group has gone through just the financials that you have, and we talked to Ryan about things that we see that are out of or getting concerning or what's going on. A lot of it is some of the things that are well overspent or look like they're well overspent. Our grants need to come in and then things need to be reallocated. Just so you guys all know, because you're not at our meeting, we pretty much go from the top to the bottom, line by line, and ask the questions you need to ask. And then the next meeting, like Ryan just said, we'll start looking at the quarter to see where we think we're panning out.
So Maureen, to clarify, as chairman of the subcommittee, you plan to do that kind of a report each month after we meet, right?
Yeah.
Great, thank you.
Actually, here's the question. Do you want to do it at this meeting when Ryan does his financials? Because we meet the meeting before. We meet prior to our first meeting of the month.
Yeah, so what I believe Noreen's asking is because it's right before the first board meeting, would you rather get the update on that day?
Or wait until.
The liaison report.
It's helpful to see this in front of us, Ryan's report, and then I do like the fact, Noreen or Denise or anyone else, like just commenting on what the discussion was. And even some of the things that you saw through your board eyes in terms of kind of looking, I appreciate that.
So we'll keep it at this meeting.
All right, and the next thing on the agenda is the superintendent's proposed budget, which kind of in front of you, but I will say this is the one that was sent to the town as well, and we can make statements, but not really ask questions at this time because we'll have time to ask questions at our workshops. This is kind of just the initial proposed budget, but then coming up next, we will schedule our workshops. But I don't know if Patrick wants to say a little bit, but I will say that having this type of detailed proposed budget is very appreciated before the public hearing. It wasn't always done this way, we'll just say. So kind of having this much detail and these this level of historical data and just everything is really appreciated. And this was also sent to the town, so it is posted at the same time for the public hearing.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. You actually took some of my talking points, so gives me a farther head start. For anyone that is here, that would like a paper copy, there are paper copies on the table along with today's agenda. I can tell you, I'm pleased to present the superintendent's proposed budget today. Certainly recognizing that this is a starting point in a long process that's going to continue over the next couple of months. As Kate indicated, although there will be no discussion, certainly look forward to comments. And one thing I just want to highlight with the budget booklet they have before you, my goal today is to provide an overview of the information. I'm certainly not going to go page by page as far as the description with the information in there. So with that, I'll start. All right, and I got that to work without much assistance with IT. So pretty much like everything we do, I can tell you that this budget proposal is grounded in the priorities outlined in the board's strategic plan, which you folks are well aware of, which is focused on the 4 areas bulleted on the slide here, which certainly includes the portrait of the graduate. And as you're also aware, the portrait of the graduate highlights the vision of work that goes into providing quality education, starting from preschool and going all the way through 12th grade. So it really focuses on East Windsor Public School experience through each of our schools. And then with that, the budget proposal continues to support our pre-K through grade 12 priorities outlined in the portrait of the graduate, along with all the good work that we focus on and report on month to month at these meetings. Ultimately, that produces graduates who are lifelong learners, civic contributors, motivated problem solvers, responsible citizens, and more, kind of like we have Vincent here. So as you're well aware, each year the budget presents new challenges, and this year is no different. So a common theme today that you're going to hear from me is the funding cliff. And I anticipate you're going to start to hear this funding cliff being a common theme among surrounding towns and districts. And that's really the result of the loss of federal COVID and ESSER funds. I mean, I know Ryan just gave the financial report, and grants were briefly discussed. But certainly a number of our grants have come since the pandemic and are set to expire like everyone else at the end of this fiscal year. So for us currently, that would be approximately 700,000 this year. With that, along with the bullets that are outlined there, there are additional medical costs, and that was a result of 30 new employees that started this year, taking more benefits than those that they replace. So certainly that also contributes with that 7%. On the positive though, yesterday we did receive an updated projection on our healthcare increase. So that 7% as of yesterday is now 5%. So certainly we'll make those changes as we go. I can tell you this was already done by the time I got that updated projection. And as I indicated, this will be a work in progress. One thing I also want to highlight is that special education increases in this budget reflect the adjusted amount after taking into account offsetting revenues related to those costs. So when you see those percents, that's after large revenues associated with our choice and our grants have offset. And then our pension contributions, 10% equates to 67,000. This is in addition to 89,000 we had as an increase this year. So that's over $150,000 increase from this year and what's projected next year too. So certainly that has an impact as well. So with all challenges, we're tasked with finding solutions. So with that, I can tell you, Ryan, myself, the leadership team, which many are here today, have met multiple times over the last several months, starting really as early as October to address these needs. And so what I can tell you and I can report is that we have reduced in every possible area while maintaining what we currently have by reallocating resources. So this includes a reduction of 4 to 1 pair, bless you, a building sub and accounts payable position. And I can tell you that these reductions have been planned since the beginning of the year to help offset some of the funding cliff that I just mentioned. This budget does include one additional position, and that's a course teacher that would be split between middle school and high school to support the expansion of our band and music program, which has been certainly something that's received very, very positive feedback from our parents, which I will say would still be short of what we previously had in place for music and band years ago. So this table you have before you It is in the budget booklet and it looks a lot much clearer than what I can read on the screen here. But I want to make, one point, clear. What's being presented, with this, budget proposal is not a level service, budget. So if we took everything that we have in place today, and rolled that over, that would equate to, a 10.5% increase. So certainly what you have before you is not a 10.5% increase. I can tell you, I was talking to a superintendent, a nearby superintendent, and if they rolled everything over, they're looking at 12%. So as I'm indicating, as far as this funding cliff, as budget season starts to get going, I anticipate you'll hear more and more around surrounding towns. The numbers, in the tables, and, this is, the entire budget, as far as the cost centers, reflect the local dollars. So this is what, these department centers look like after revenues have offset and, grants have been offset. So if those grants were not included or those revenue sources were not offset, those numbers would be high. I know I have Deirdre here, certainly being a former special ed director, I'm not picking on special ed, but it's an easy one to use as examples. So in your booklet, if you look at special ed education, it would appear that increases $171,785 and a 2.55% increase. That's after grants and revenue. I can tell you if those were not offset, that increase would be over 8%. You may recall for past years with previous administration, those revenues were offset on medical. So this is the first year it's really made that transition where it should be against special education, because the reason they're generated is because of special ed. If special ed didn't exist, we wouldn't receive that revenue. So it's just one of the improvements our finance team has made for reporting purposes. But the fact is you have a department that looks like it's increased by 2.55% when it's really over 8%, just to put it in perspective. Within this budget, I am also proposing partnering with you, the board, to strategically utilize $265,000 of the 2% fund for eligible costs to reduce the budget further. I can tell you, within my participation, the last 2 years, being this is my third year as superintendent here, in both years, the Board of Finance has highlighted that this fund has not been utilized since its existence. And when you take that into account with our current circumstances, certainly I feel like that warrants the use of these funds due to the higher than average increases, along with the funding cliff with the loss of grants. Certainly, if we moved in that direction, that would still leave us with over 210,000 in the 2% fund, which is more than the cost of one odd district special ed private placement that we could have as a contingency or any other unanticipated costs within that amount. Normally I ask other questions, but I know I can't do that. So here's a look at it from a different perspective. So we have a pie graph. I will tell you the dark green, it's listed on the slide is transportation. It did not come out in the budget booklet, but if you look, that is transportation. So this graph represents the local budget allocations to each department. This is how the local tax dollars are spread out across departments. I can tell you percents are rounded to the whole number. So because band is less than 1%, it shows up on the graph as 0%, but we do have funding allocated to band. It's just less than 0.5%, which would round down. Salaries make up a large part of our budget, does every year. They're embedded in each department, so it's not a category by itself. So for example, teachers that work at the high school would be within the high school department. Certainly if there's positions that are district-wide, that would be in the district-wide department. Certainly teachers that work within special ed would be in that department. But overall, salaries make up 65% of the overall budget. You'll notice that special education is at 25%. Being the largest cost center. I can tell you that's not unusual. It's right in the average. So most districts fall between 20 and 30%, with 25% directly in the middle. And it's not unusual when you consider that special education touches every aspect of the school system, starting before students even reach preschool, all the way through the age of 22 when some students require transition programming.
What does district-wide represent? 24% of the budget, and I don't remember what that,
I don't know if I can
can you answer any questions?
I can't, yeah, I mean,
I think there's a thing that says.
yeah, but I can tell you there is within this booklet, it breaks it down.
Yeah, I'm not asking for an opinion, just.
And I'm being extra cautious, so.
I'm okay with
All
that.
right, thank you. I changed slides. Nope, sorry. So putting the overall school budget in perspective, the total cost of education in East Windsor is over 31 million. So this is before any grants or any revenues. So when you look at the top number, it's over 31 million. After offsetting grants and revenues, the budget in my proposal here is approximately 28.2 million. And that's right before the 2%. So if we utilize the 2% and utilize 265,000 in this proposal, the budget would be 27.9 million, which, if approved by the board, would be the amount that would be brought forward to the Board of Finance. If you take it a step farther and look a little deeper, you can see that there's additional funds in adult ed and the state educational cost sharing grants that further reduce the taxpayer liability in an effort to lower the mill rate. And that's common with any local public school district in Connecticut. So ultimately, just putting it in perspective, our students receive an education just over 31 million at a 28% discount due to outside funding sources. Yep. So basically, our students receive an education that, like, the cost of real dollars is over 31 million at a 28% discount due to outside funding resources or sources.
So that's that number that you're referring to.
Yes.
Good.
So just a couple final points I want to leave the board and our staff and public that we do have here today. As everyone hopefully can see, the goal is to utilize every funding source to provide a quality education that minimizes the taxpayer liability as best we can while trying to meet both of those but competing objectives. Certainly, as you can see, there's a lot of work to be done. And certainly more information will be available that we hope that will positively impact the budget. Example is the medical costs that just came in slightly lower than originally projected a couple months ago. I'd like to finish that on behalf of myself, the leadership team. We look forward to working with the board to continue to provide our students with the quality educational experience while also being aware of protecting our local taxpayers. And we believe through planning, preparation, being strategic in our decisions, we feel that this budget does that. So with that, I want to thank you and I look forward to the work ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, so under new business for discussion is setting up our workshop schedule. So you'll see on page 34, this was an example of the dates from last year. So, there were 3 dates that were held for workshops. And this year, and at the bottom where it says like the Board of Ed budget presentation to the Board of Finance was on.
Yeah, I'm checking the right.
Oh, sorry. Page 34.
Yeah.
So where it says March 15th, this year that would be on March 20th, is that correct?
Correct. So the Board of Ed is scheduled to present to the Board of Finance based on, the budget calendar on March 20th. So certainly we want to have our workshops, completed before then. And then selfishly, obviously, I would be updating, the budget booklet to reflect, it would transition from the superintendent's proposed budget to the Board of Ed's, proposed budget to the Board of Finance. Make those revisions and update, would want a little bit of time as well, too.
Can I ask Kate, before we set dates, are we all comfortable with the same process we did last year, which was very much abbreviated from the previous year? So if we're not comfortable with that, will we need more meetings? I'm comfortable with how we did it, but I'm just one person.
Well, I'm wondering if maybe, because I know there was discussion last year about some of the bigger departments and them combined. I think it may have been just like, just maybe having some bigger departments come and then they put in a lot of work to do, just to come forward, but I'm fine with the way we did it before, but I'm open to.
I think we had reserved one extra date just in case we needed it when we set them up.
And I believe you utilized it. So I think we broke all the departments between two. And if I recall, I could be mistaken. And then I thought that the board then utilized that third meeting. That's what
Can I ask what feedback did you get from the various cost centers about the way it happened last year? Was there was everybody happy with the amount of time that they were able to?
I'm seeing some nodding.
Yeah, we were happy.
People.
As an admin team,
They're happy.
yeah, I know the three principals were happy, I think.
So you don't want to come to more meetings?
I mean, I love a good meeting.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I feel like I asked a lot as far as like asking for input from my leadership team. I did not ask them about their input regarding how the meeting schedule worked for them. Full disclosure.
I agree with Denise. I think last year we had we had 2 dates. Patrick ran through everything. And then we had 2 other dates. One that if we wanted to have like Deirdre come.
Yeah.
And then we didn't end up needing to do that because Patrick had
The information.
had all of the information or got us what we needed. So I'm comfortable doing that.
I am as well. I just want to make sure that everybody's voices is able to be heard. If anybody comes up with something, if you have a question, I would like to have the opportunity to talk to somebody about it. So,
I mean, we'll definitely make ourselves, between myself, Ryan, depending on the costs that the questions are, we'll make those people available.
yeah, just because I remember the past, every cost center came and they presented. And we had time to question each and every entry on the thing. But I mean, that was days. Whereas I guess this is a much more streamlined process, but I just want to make sure that people get heard.
Not too streamlined.
I will say one thing that was helpful too is utilizing the finance subcommittee to determine like the breakdown, what departments reported on what date. So that was helpful. So I mean, I would like to like follow that again. So certainly once we have the dates, hopefully there'll be a finance subcommittee meeting prior to that. I think the way the schedule hopefully will work.
So that we can break down which ones we.
Cost centers are going and what that.
Okay.
That would be, if we're looking at this, then that would be sometime mid-February.
Yeah, it looks like the Board of Finance, the next subcommittee meeting is February 14th, I believe, before our meeting on Valentine's Day. So theoretically, then, similar to what these dates look like, then we'd be looking at like the 3rd full week in February. Potentially, I think to have.
Do we want to stick with Wednesdays, except for the board finance night?
The only issue I know, so that's another discussion. Sometimes we would do it like before or after. We just need to check if we have, so like if we were doing it 21st, there's the EPR is that night, but is there nothing else on the 1st in terms of like a Wednesday?
You have the town finance,
Yeah.
you have
So
board of
that's
finance at
4:00.
7 o'clock.
Okay.
So But I think last year, didn't we meet like at 5:30 or something like that? And then that way we were able to go to the Board of Finance after?
Well, I think BPRs, that's what I'm saying, like, would we want, we already had to reschedule BPR
Oh, yeah.
for this, so we don't have to keep putting that up, especially if we want our meeting times changed.
Yep.
Although, there's one February 7th, is there BPR? And the dates are all.
We also have new members that may not have the same flexibility as that.
Yeah, I mean, if that date really works, I mean, we really do need to have BPR, but I can work with that subcommittee to define all the alternative date, that date, because I understand Wednesdays is typically a meeting date. So certainly like, Justin Martin, and I can, work with that subcommittee to find an alternative date if we need.
For the BPR meeting?
Yeah.
I mean, so just, that, why I was asking is I'll be out of town.
Yeah, because we had a, yeah, there's a lot.
So I don't know if we can impact that.
Patrick, a presentation for the Board of Finance is March 20th.
Yes.
How much time do you want?
If I have a week that, we can do a quick turnaround. I mean, we're going to be updating it in real time too. So like, as we have a meeting on certain cost centers, we're going to be updating it. I mean, we just got medical, like, I mean, we're going to update that prior to, meeting, with the board.
I just want to make sure you have enough time.
Yeah.
I don't want to.
So that would be March 13th if it was a
Your
week before.
ability to do your presentation.
So Patrick, that would be March 13th, which is
For the last meeting, so like if we're talking about scheduling 3 meetings, that would be,
it would give Patrick a week. Yeah, right, to be able to.
And ideally, I'd want to have it done ahead of time, so the Board of Finance could have it prior to the
Yeah.
presentation, so they have time
That's
to
right.
review it too. So part of the consideration would be how much time, would be adequate for them to review prior to the presentation. To
Is
put
that
together.
your normal meeting?
Uh,
March 20th? There?
I'll check. We'll see if that's the third, is that Wednesday? It is. Yep.
So their packages and agendas go out on Friday before.
Okay. Yeah. So I want to be able to get.
so that's why you were saying like March 6th before. I think,
Yeah,
rather than
yeah.
13th. We were actually. before.
That could be that fourth date maybe, right? That we would be, so if we're thinking it 4 times. The 14th is the finance subcommittee, 229. We would set who comes to what. 229 would be the day after our board of ed meeting.
Right. So, okay, so here's a question. Are Thursdays, like if we had to do a meeting, could we do a Thursday?
We can do Thursdays.
Thursday. Potentially February 29th at least. But
Is
I'm just
5:30
trying to-
still okay for like new members? Can you?
5:30 is hard.
5:30 is
kind of
hard for me on certain days.
So I think we had, I mean, these ones, this said 6 o'clock last year.
Oh, I thought we said something about 5:30.
Yeah.
6 would work
Yeah,
better in
would work
terms of the workshops. Okay. Yeah, but then do we need to look for one earlier than that too? Is that, I guess that's what I'm trying.
Sorry, let's get you up something.
Right now, I just have 229 at 6 PM. Because we would have a meeting the 28th as well.
Yep.
And we were just saying the 21st, you're saying is it's BPR and Board of Finance. So were you wanting to meet before that though as well?
And the 14th is finance subcommittee, and that's when we're gonna set who comes to what meeting.
Okay.
The 21st, I would imagine.
But the 22nd work? Or the 20th?
Not the 21st?
That's the Board of Finance.
Oh, that's the night. Okay.
I'm okay with the 22nd. 22nd. 222 at 6 p.m. Be the first then. So say February 22nd.
Yeah, February. So right now we have February 22nd at 6 PM and February 29th at 6 PM. Those are both Thursday nights.
You can
And
take
then-
the 6th because that's a Wednesday. It would not
Or we
be.
won't have a meeting. All right. And then free 6
That's a
potentially.
Wednesday.
I personally cannot do the 6th, but don't. Around me, I just can't do that. And I'm not sure I could do this seventh either. I'm just saying.
Okay. What about the 28th?
It would be back to back 28th and 29th, but
We have a meeting, so that's the only thing, like the 28th, we have curriculum council subcommittee, and then we have a board of ed meeting. So sometimes like we would do it before a regular meeting, but where we have curriculum council at 6, I just don't know that we have the time to do them.
Yeah, I mean, the other
Before or
part too, I
after,
mean,
like,
obviously
next
the
year.
subcommittee work is very important, but I mean, I would say budget does need take priority, so like if there's a certain date that works and we like, and we need to accommodate, figure something out or postpone the subcommittee. I mean, certainly, I think we need to make the budget a higher priority, at least for the month of February and March.
Yeah, so if we wanted to do the 28th, before the meeting for an hour and a half and see how we do. I mean, that's how we've done it in the past, sometimes like
that's fine.
at 6 on
Yeah.
the 28th.
Yep, we can make sure like Darren's provided, like we did prior, knowing that it's going to be a long meeting. We can look at the agenda. They try to keep the board agenda that.
And do we want to keep the 6th?
Just
as
in
the
case.
last date, and if we have to do it, then we'll just check with you and see what questions you might have, and then between us, we can ask them all.
Do you mind just telling me what they,
It's
so it's the February 22nd,
Mhm.
February 28th,
Mhm,
February 29th,
mhm.
and then March 6th potentially.
Okay.
And those would all be at 6 PM. And we'll discuss which cost centers will be presented at those. The Board of Finance Subcommittee will decide on February 14th which subcommittee or which cost centers would be on the agendas for those meetings. And depending on how many nights, like if they can get the cost centers presentations in the first 2 meetings, and then the third meeting is for our discussion, any questions, any things that we further have, then we'll decide if we need the 4th night or not.
The only issue is Noreen and I think are gonna have a problem with the 22nd.
Oh, yeah.
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 We have a meeting at 6 PM that night.
Yes, we do.
I just realized
And
that.
what was going on the 21st?
Board of town board of finance.
Before it?
Anything? We can, I mean, all we're doing is asking her to give us some paperwork, and I can ask her maybe to just email
I don't
it.
think we're doing any.
Special.
hearings.
No.
We're just-
It's not, yeah, it's not anything that anybody's gonna come forward.
It'd be easier to cancel that.
Cancel, no, yeah.
All right, so you'll check about the 22nd. And if we're doing this, the February 28th Curriculum Council Subcommittee meeting would then be canceled.
Okay.
Yeah, and so is that what you want to do with BPR on the 21st as well? So we do in the 21st or 22nd.
We were talking about the 22nd, as long as they can make it.
Yeah.
So we were gonna leave the 21st. So I think the only subcommittee one we were talking about canceling was curriculum.
Actually, Heather, just if we start our meeting at 6, we're done by 6:30.
Mhm.
So if we start here at 6:30 on the 22nd, we could get both of them.
Okay.
I think we could do that if we don't have any other meetings on the 22nd, right? Like, we're not going into Board of Ed.
So, okay,
Right.
6:30 that night then?
Okay, so
Okay.
6:30 on the 22nd, but 6 o'clock on the 28th, the 29th, and potentially the
Yep.
6th. All right. Does that sound good for everybody?
We're doing 6:30 on the 20th.
Yes.
Here.
Yes.
Jessica could send out invitations.
She will, she'll do it, yeah, we can do the invites and then we won't have the agendas till after the, finance subcommittee meeting on the 14th though.
Is that okay in terms of timing? Let you know.
Yeah, that will give us, yeah, I mean, Ryan, that will give us,
I don't know if they need to be posted with an agenda.
oh, no, that will give us time from the 14th through the,
To the 22nd.
oh, yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Just in terms of like posting it with an agenda online and that type of thing, that we can get the meeting notices out there as well. All right,
It
so we,
gives us a weekend to make the changes after the potential, maybe even more, if we're done on the 29th.
all right, and we don't actually have to vote on those, but we will get that out so people know those. All right. Now we're down to public participation number 2 on our agenda. Does anybody have any public participation? All right, and then miscellaneous, did you have any
Just the law books.
Oh, yes, miscellaneous. We have Connecticut School. So Denise would like to check one out first. Okay, you tell me how to do that. We'll pass it. And then, does somebody else want to check it out now, or you want to have it at the office?
Maybe a book study group later on.
Cindy likes to look over it and then fill us all in.
I can take it back.
All right, so this one will be at the superintendent's office. If someone else would like to borrow it and check it out, let,
I know, it's weird.
just know.
We actually, we got, between Daryl and Ryan, they were, we also, because we needed to update them at the building, we have a building, so since this is Broadbrook, Matt, I might leave this one with you, so it's my save me. To bring it back.
So if anybody else is interested, there are extra copies of the Connecticut School Law Book 10th edition updated that we know Denise has been waiting with bated breath for.
Wait to see.
All right.
I do have a miscellaneous.
Yeah.
I saw in something that the middle school is doing a sports survey, and I thought that was an awesome idea. Have you done that before?
No, this is our first
I
survey, yeah. So just find out, what we, for next year and for, future needs.
I think that's a great approach to it because we can all guess what they like, but
I did email Jessica just because when I went to fill out the survey, it said you could put as many as you wanted, but it only let
It
me.
was
put one.
fixed.
Okay.
Should have been fixed right after, yep.
So it's going out to parents.
It went out to parents, yep, no, just to parents.
That's cool.
okay, thank you for that.
Go ahead.
So there's a new state mandate, that requires, districts, to have, essentially, diversity educator teams, with the goal of increasing educator diversity, within districts. Tatiana, our HR director, is leading that work along with, Cheryl Gustafson and, Justin Martin is also, participating. And they had asked me, to come to the board, to see if there was any interest as far as, members participating on that team. Understand that the goal is to increase, diversity among our educators in the school system. The work is just getting started, so I don't have a whole lot of detail. If you're just interested as far as getting more information before committing as well, I can provide, Tatiana and Cheryl are kind of the primary leads, and they can follow up.
Patrick, I would be interested in finding out more.
Okay, great.
I would also be interested.
Thank you. All right, hold up. Let me get the names for you.
The Fran and Gabby. And Betsy and myself and John. You can keep me.
All right, great. All right, perfect. I'll follow up, with them. So, either Tatiana or Cheryl, I would anticipate will be reaching out.
Yes.
We're kind of busy for the next month and a half or so, but I'd like to have a conversation at a meeting in the future about the kindergarten situation where the 5-year-old, doubtful 5-year-old, where they can't come and what we're going to do and waivers and just get an idea of how this new law is affecting us as a district from our perspective of how we've been doing our pre-K and trying to get these 3 and 4-year-olds in as much as we can. So if we could just put that on as a conversation.
We can certainly do that. I can tell you, Noreen, Daryl's, and Laura have worked hard to have a plan in place, and we feel good about the plan we do have in place.
All right, so we'll work on getting that on a future agenda. Anybody else have miscellaneous? We are realizing that liaison reports didn't make it on the agenda, and we didn't say added agenda items, but if anybody has a liaison report at this time, I think it would be fine.
I have a question. So you and I were on FRC, and I don't know if I'm still on, and I don't know if there are any meetings. So that's a question.
No, it just happens like,
They're not scheduled because there's about only 3 a year, so they
Yeah.
get, like, they have an approximate time frame they take place, and they'll give you a notice to reach out.
Okay.
and Kate usually contacts us, but I haven't heard from her at all either.
Okay.
I'll keep
All
you
right. I just wanted to-
I did attend the Board of Selectmen meeting on Thursday. And if there was one thing I feel like is pertinent to like mention here, I want to say the
deputy and the chief deputy of the emergency management team.
The chief and deputy.
Director of here it is, yeah, emergency management. Were put into office and they had run a active shooter drill with our school district, which would be good to share. And then also for curriculum council at our next meeting that we have some really exciting classes that are going to be coming up, including art and design and AP placement course and a 2D and a drawing 3D course as well.
Just to follow up on Courtney's report, during the December break, the PD, they used the high school facility for training. Myself, Daryl, and Nelson attended, and then the active shooter training was done with the town departments, but myself, Daryl, and Nelson also attended the training.
It's not done with the kids. in the class.
Nor the school staff. So the training really pertained to myself, Daryl, and Nelson, who's head of our school security. We do anticipate doing additional training with our staff, probably sometime beginning next year.
Thank you for adding that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I was just going to say, it is good information. You know, we get so caught up with it, it's hard to keep track at times.
I went to the building commission meeting. There really wasn't much to report, except that Joe was not the meeting, but I had spoken to him, and as regarding facilities, I was told based on, because we were having that discussion last meeting, there should be a meeting set up between Board of Finance, Board of Selectmen, and Board of Education to talk about the facilities plan. So I don't know anything more about it though.
That's what I was also told, that there would be a meeting scheduled.
I don't know when, but.
Any other specific liaison reports or miscellaneous from anybody? All right, in correspondence, we do have our enrollment report.
Good question. That's enrollment. There are 20, I mean, the primary grades are, or the Broadbrook school is higher. The high school is higher, but the middle school is lower. Is that some kind of bubble from last year? It's like lower by 20, if I remember it. Yeah.
I'm sorry, for what? For total?
Middle school.
This to this to this.
Yeah, we had, I do know that last year's 8th grade had for most of the year 83 or 84 students. So certainly that was the largest difference, was the 8th grade that left the building.
Does it have to do with the changes we made in choice?
Not necessarily, because the vast majority of the students that come from the choice program that we added were at the elementary.
Right, so that would raise that number.
Correct. I mean, we do have our enrollment fluctuates. So we have a number of students and families that will start in East Windsor from preschool, and they will go from preschool through 12th grade. But then we do have a population decent in size that's more on the transient side, where you have a number of families that move out and move in. And as far as that can make our essentially our enrollment fluctuate as well too.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And just as a note, we talked about personnel report, but I think you had said that would be at the next meeting. We'll
Correct.
Have that.
Yep. Well, not
Or-
the February meeting, which it would be due at.
Okay, so the
Yep.
board meeting, that would be because of having a new HR person and just kind of so.
Yeah, she's
So-
just finishing her. She's an outstanding.
I don't think we have anything else on our open agenda, but we do have need for an executive session tonight. So could I have a motion to go to executive session?
I'll make a motion to go to the session. At 8:24.
Do I have a second? Sorry, was that Courtney? Yeah, that's Courtney. Okay, so Heather made the motion and Courtney seconded. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, so at 8:24, we're gonna go into executive session. Thank you to those who attended tonight.